At the hospital where I was being treated for a broken leg, I watched my fiancée sneak into the waiting room to sit on another man's lap. When I confronted her in my cast, she smirked and said, "I need someone who can keep up." 2 months later, I was fully recovered, and served her a lawsuit for fraud right after she got fired for sleeping with her boss. I'm 38, live in Peoria, Illinois. I've been in HVAC for about 15 years now. I'm not rich, not flashy, just a guy who shows up every day, does his work, pays his rent on time, and keeps the fridge stocked. I don't party. I don't cheat. I'm the guy who remembers your mom's birthday and shows up early to help fix your dishwasher. My fiancée, her name's Melanie, was 34. She worked at this mid-sized tech firm doing marketing stuff. Looked good in a blazer, always had her nails done, and could talk circles around you. I thought we were solid. We'd been living together for 2 years. I had a ring on her finger. We were talking about buying a house. I thought I had it made. The roof was slick with frost. I was helping with a rooftop install on a 3-story building off Knoxville Avenue. We were running behind, so I was trying to move fast. One step the wrong way and boom, gone. The next thing I remember is being in the ambulance, screaming from the pain. My thigh was bent in a way that made the EMT wince. That's not something you forget. At the hospital, they rushed me into surgery. I woke up with a rod drilled into my leg and a doctor telling me I'd be out for at least 2 months. No driving. No walking. No work. Melanie showed up the next morning. She brought a bag with some socks, underwear, my phone charger, and a half-empty pack of gum. She kissed my forehead and told me to rest. She stayed maybe 15 minutes. Said she had meetings. She never stayed long after that. Just quick check-ins. A coffee. Maybe some takeout if she wasn't too slammed. But her phone was always going off. And she never let me see who was texting. At the time, I blamed myself. I figured I was being needy. I tried not to ask questions. They moved me to a new recovery room on the 3rd day. It was better than the last one, more light, a small TV, and a view of the waiting area. I remember sitting up, flipping through the channels when I spotted that blue coat. Melanie's. She walked in fast, looking around like she didn't want to be seen. Then came the man. Tall. Clean cut. Looked like one of those guys who always smells like expensive soap. I didn't recognize him, but she knew him. They talked for a second, then she sat, right on his lap. Like it was the most normal thing in the world. His hand slid right up her thigh. She kissed his cheek. I stared, frozen. It was like watching a car crash in slow motion. I hit the call button like it was a fire alarm. Nurse came in, and I told her I needed a wheelchair, now. I told her I had to get to the waiting room. She looked concerned but helped me get into the chair. I rolled in and saw them both. Melanie looked up and froze. The guy leaned back, confused. I looked her dead in the eyes and said, "What the hell are you doing?" She got up slow, fixed her skirt, and looked at me like I was the problem. Then she said it. "I need someone who can keep up. You're just, not it." She turned and walked out with him. Didn't even look back. The nurses were kind. They wheeled me back without saying much. I didn't cry. I just sat there, staring at the wall. After discharge, I came home to an empty apartment. Her stuff was gone. Just a key on the counter and a note that said, "You'll get through this." That first week was hell. I couldn't shower alone. Had to crawl to the bathroom some days. Craig, my oldest friend, brought groceries and helped me change my bandages. He stayed quiet, but I saw the anger in his face. I stopped calling Melanie. Stopped looking at her socials. I just lay there with my pain meds and the TV. Until the fog cleared. And then I started thinking. About the money. She asked to borrow $8,000 2 years ago. Said she needed to pay off old debt. Clean credit before we apply for a mortgage. I transferred the money to her account. She promised to pay it back in chunks. I never saw a dime. She also talked me into co-signing a credit card. Said it was for emergencies. Then maxed it out in 6 months on spa days and electronics. She stopped paying after a while. I started getting the calls. Then there were Uber charges in the middle of weekdays. Lyft rides to places like hotels and fancy restaurants. I wasn't invited to any of them. My hands were shaking as I pulled up old texts. She had written stuff like, "Thanks for helping me get ahead, I'll pay you back soon, and, once I get the bonus, I'll start payments." My gut twisted. I talked to a lawyer. He looked at the texts, the account records, the card statements, and nodded. "You've got enough here for a civil fraud case," he said. "Especially if she used the money under false pretenses." So I started building a case. While I did that, karma started handling its part. Craig's cousin Jenna works at Melanie's company. She reached out after hearing about the hospital scene. She told me people had been whispering about Melanie and her boss for months. Apparently, they were always at lunch together. Always working late. HR doesn't play around with stuff like that, especially in a small town like this. Turns out, someone reported them. A few days later, Jenna texted, "She's being walked out." Boss too. I stood there reading it in my kitchen, still limping from the injury. I had a manila envelope sitting on the counter with her name on it. I got in my truck and drove to her apartment. She answered in a hoodie, eyes puffy like she'd been crying. "What do you want?" she asked. I handed her the envelope. She flipped through the pages, got pale. "You're suing me?" she said. "For fraud," I said. "You lied about the money. And I'm done being used." She tried to slam the door, but I put my foot in it. "You owe me. And now? You'll pay." She slammed the door anyway. Hard enough that it hit my shoulder. I didn't even flinch. I got back in the truck and sat there for a few minutes, gripping the steering wheel. I didn't feel good. I didn't feel bad either. I felt cold. 2 days later, I got an email from a lawyer. Not a real one, just a guy from some cheap office in downtown Peoria. He said Melanie was disputing the claims, calling the money a gift and saying the lawsuit was harassment by an angry ex. My lawyer laughed when he saw it. This is the best they could do. We sent back every message, bank statement, credit report, and screenshot I had. Including one where she said, and I quote, "This is a loan, not a gift. I swear I'll pay you back once I clear up the mess." That shut her lawyer up. But Melanie wasn't done yet. 2 weeks later, I was at my new job. Smaller HVAC place, honest people, fair pay, no rooftop nonsense. I was stocking parts in the back when one of the office girls poked her head in and said, "There's a woman out front asking for you." I figured it might be a customer or maybe someone dropping something off. It was Melanie. She looked rough. Hair in a bun, bags under her eyes. Still wore makeup like armor, but she couldn't hide how desperate she looked. "You really want to do this?" she said, arms crossed. "You mean hold you accountable?" "Yeah. I do." She stepped closer, lowered her voice. "I lost my job. I lost my apartment. My parents are furious. You got what you wanted." "No," I said. "Not even close." She looked like she might cry. "You don't get it. He told me he loved me. Then they fired us both and now he's ghosting me. I stood there in silence. I didn't feel sorry for her. I just saw a wreck of a person who dug her own hole. You chose him, I said. You chose everything that came with that. I'm just here to make sure you don't walk away clean. Then she made a mistake. She spat out, I only stayed with you because I felt bad. You were never enough. Just a safe bet. That was it. I walked back inside and told the office girl to call security if she came back. A week later, I got an email. No name. No subject line. Just a Gmail account I didn't recognize. The message said, Melanie forged paperwork at her old job to hide the relationship from HR. There are emails. Thought you'd want to know. Attached were screenshots. Her sending reports from her boss's email. Her replying to HR as him. Faking approvals. I forwarded them to Jenna, who still worked there. She confirmed they were real. HR reopened the investigation. Now they're building a case to block her severance and possibly press charges for internal fraud. I didn't even ask for that. That was karma doing its own work. 3 days ago, I noticed someone had been in my truck. Nothing stolen, but the glove box was open, my insurance card gone. My side mirror was cracked like someone kicked it. I filed a police report. Last night, Craig called me around 10 p.m. Said someone had tried to follow him from my place. He'd come by to drop off tools I lent him. A dark car tailed him for 6 blocks before turning off. I don't have proof it was Melanie. But I'm not stupid. I've started locking up more. I bought a camera for my apartment door. Told my boss what was going on. He said if she shows up again, they'll call the cops immediately. She's unraveling. And I can feel something building. This isn't over. Not yet. The day after Craig called me, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. Inside was a printed photo of Melanie and me at a party 2 years ago. She was smiling. I was holding her waist. On the back, someone had written, "You looked happy. What happened to that guy?" Creepy as hell. I gave it to the police. They said without a threat, it wasn't technically a crime. Just disturbing. That night, I couldn't sleep. I sat in the kitchen with the baseball bat I kept near the door. My leg still ached when the weather shifted, and I could feel the pins in my femur like metal knives. Then, the last person I ever expected to hear from, did. Melanie's mother called me. Her voice was tight and tired. "She's not well," she said. "She's unraveling. Keep saying you're trying to destroy her." I told her the truth. That I wasn't out to ruin Melanie. I just wanted what I was owed. Her mom went quiet for a second. Then she said, "She's been drinking. A lot. She lost her car. Took an Uber to her old office and screamed in the parking lot until security dragged her off. Now she's talking about moving to Arizona with some guy she met online." I didn't say anything. What could I say? "She needs help," her mom added. "But she won't take it. She thinks you're the villain." I didn't respond to that either. Then she asked, "Are you going to keep pushing the lawsuit?" I said yes. She hung up. The next morning, I checked my email. Melanie had filed a counterclaim. Said I was the one who pressured her into taking the money. Claimed I used it to manipulate her, held it over her head, and emotionally abused her by using finances to control the relationship. My lawyer nearly spit out his coffee. "She's building a case out of papier-mâché," he said. Still, it meant delays. More court dates. More money. I wanted to walk away. God knows I wanted to just move on. But then I remembered lying in that hospital bed, watching her sit on another man's lap like I was already dead. No. I wasn't walking away. Craig, being the pit bull he is, started digging more. Said if she wanted to play dirty, we'd play smarter. One night, he showed up with a flash drive. Jenna helped pull this off the company's server, he said. Before they shut her access down. On it were Slack messages. Melanie messaging a coworker, bragging about how she was going to drain the HVAC guy dry, talking about me like I was a safety net. If I marry him, I can probably get him to buy a house in my name. If not, whatever, I'll fake some tears and bounce. That was dated 4 months before the accident. She was planning this while I was saving for our down payment. We added it to the evidence file. My lawyer said it was damning. Good, I said. She taught me the value of planning. A week after that, I got a text from a number I didn't know. You don't know me, but I think you should. My name's Daryl. I'm the guy she cheated with. I didn't know you existed until it was too late. He wanted to meet. I said no. But he kept texting. Told me Melanie told him I was just a friend crashing at her place while recovering. She said we used to date, but it didn't work out. She spun a full lie while living in my apartment, eating food I paid for, and taking care of a dog that was mine. He even said he helped her pack when she moved out. She told him I was starting to get weird and clingy. Daryl offered to testify. Said he had texts and voice memos she left him that proved she knew what she was doing. I told my lawyer. We added him to the witness list. Melanie was about to find out what it feels like to watch someone else walk in and destroy the world you built with lies. And I was going to be front row. By the time we got to court, it had been 4 months since I broke my leg. I could walk without a limp now, though my thigh still had a scar that looked like a zipper. It reminded me every morning of what I went through. The courtroom was small, Peoria County Courthouse. Old wood benches, cheap carpet, buzzing lights. Melanie sat across from me with her new lawyer. She looked thinner. Worn down. Her nails were chipped. Hair thrown into a sloppy bun. The blazer she wore didn't fit like it used to. When the judge walked in, I didn't feel scared. I felt ready. My lawyer went first. We laid it all out. The money trail. The texts. The screenshots. The credit card documents. The Slack messages from her work. The fake email replies she sent from her boss's account. The photo of her with the guy in the hospital lobby, yeah, Daryl brought it. Said he snapped it for memories back when he thought it was a real relationship. Then he took the stand. He told the judge everything. How Melanie lied. How she used him. How she said I was nobody, just a fallback. He sounded ashamed. When it was her turn to speak, she didn't deny most of it. Instead, she broke down crying. I was scared, she said. I didn't know how to survive. She tried to flip it. Said I was cold, controlling, made her feel trapped. The judge didn't buy it. You seem to have plenty of control while misusing his finances and manipulating 2 men at the same time, the judge said. Let's not pretend you were powerless when the evidence clearly says otherwise. Her lawyer tried to stall. Tried to argue emotional duress. Tried to claim the $8,000 was a gift of love. The judge looked at her, then at the papers again. A gift of love does not require monthly repayment promises and legal co-signatures. Then he ruled. Melanie was ordered to repay every cent. With interest. $12,780 total. The court added damages, another $3,000 for the false credit card she stuck me with and the time I had to take off work to deal with this. $15,780. Due within 60 days or it would go to collections and wage garnishment. That wasn't all. The company, her old employer, filed a separate civil suit for document fraud. Jenna told me they were seeking to bar her from ever working in marketing or admin again. Daryl also sued her in small claims for money she borrowed and never paid back. She lost that one too. 1 month later, she tried to move to Arizona to start fresh. But the court hit her with a freeze on her accounts after she failed to make her first repayment. She had to sell her phone. Then her car. Then her laptop. Her mom called me, begging for a compromise. I said, she made her choices. Let her live with them. Melanie ended up moving into her cousin's garage in Pekin. Last I heard, she was working the register at a gas station and walking to work. No car. No career. No fiancé. No fallback. Just her debts, and a stack of court orders she couldn't dodge. I didn't come out perfect. I lost months of income. I still limp on cold days. I still feel stupid for not seeing it sooner. And yeah, I got bitter for a while. Real bitter. But something shifted. I realized I was done living in the shadow of what she did to me. I used part of the settlement to finally get my own little place, nothing big. 1 bedroom, no shared leases. I started dating again. Slowly. Carefully. Most importantly, I forgave myself. I didn't ask to be lied to. I didn't ask to be cheated on in a hospital bed. I didn't ask to have my name dragged, my credit ruined, or to be humiliated in front of strangers. But I fixed it. I stood up. I fought back. And when the dust settled, I was the one still standing. Melanie taught me something: love can be a trap if you give it to the wrong person. But truth? That's a weapon. And when you've got enough of it, even the biggest liar in the room can't stand for long. She played games. I played it through to the end. And I won.